Some notable updates that happened this week. Actually, this morning on my flight back to Vegas, I saw on my athletic ticker, Brittany Griner was traded back to America for Russian's arms dealer Victor Bout. Brittany Griner's been in prison in Russia for the past 10 months, right before the Ukraine versus Russia war, over vape cartridges that she had mistakenly, allegedly, she forgot in her bag. When she went through customs, they found them. I think she had like 0.1, 0.2 THC, marijuana, whatever you want to call it, in there, and then they imprisoned her for it. Over here in America, they're a lot more lenient, but in Russia, not so much. So she was actually transferred to a Russian penal colony, apparently where it's really bad, like living conditions for a lot of prisoners, especially if you're American, and she was going to serve up to 9 years in there. For Victor Bout, he is a convicted arms dealer. And actually, he was serving 25 years in prison, federal prison. He was on his 11th year at this point before he is agreed to be released by the Biden administration to go back home to Russia. And a lot of people right now are in arms because, one, they're very happy that Brittany Griner gets to come back home. There is a couple of things that's causing some controversy. They don't feel that it was a fair trade because we're essentially sending somebody back that is a criminal. He was conspiring to kill Americans, and he was trading guns with the Colombians and all these things. So they don't feel that it was a fair trade and that we're putting somebody evil back into the free world. However, we do get one of our own back, but we do have another person who's still in Russia, who's been there for 4 years, who's a Marine veteran, Paul Whelan. Paul Whelan, excuse me if I pronounced that wrong. I read in an article that he's pretty disappointed that they weren't able to put him into the deal. But looking at the trade in itself, I personally, if we're just going to look at it as like who gets what, we got fleeced. We got fleeced in the trade. We should have had 2 Americans come back home. According to Biden, he was only able to get 1 or none, which I understand. You know, we're talking about people's lives here. It's not a game. It's not, we're not dealing with contracts or anything like that. So I do understand that. America did get fleeced, in my opinion. I do agree with that. And I think the biggest thing that we can learn here is you got to be thorough when you're traveling countries. And I know Brittany Griner was playing in Russia. She's bringing in money to Russia for their basketball leagues and stuff like that. But we can't trust like other countries and stuff like that. Like we have to abide by their laws. And just because, we're high profile players in America doesn't mean we're anything else in another country. So moral of the story is make sure that you're thorough with your luggage. And when you're going through customs, you're not bringing anything illegal that's going to put you in prison. I don't know about you, Jay, but I'm really into those like locked up abroad shows where they show people that are like willingly trying to smuggle drugs into another country and they end up there like damn near for the rest of their lives. Like it's crazy. But I am glad that that Brittany Griner's back home, and she's back home with her wife just before the holidays. But if there's anything that we can learn in this story, you got to be careful when you're overseas.